Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the European power ranking, which is for the first half of 2023, the top 50 players within Europe. And Europe has been a fairly isolated region within the first half of the year. They haven't really had any major events besides King of Fields. That's going to be their only major, so you haven't had many invaders coming down. You also don't have a ton of European traveling, though there are, of course, some that we will be talking about. But you can already kind of see how Europe is a very different region from the rest of them just by looking at the Area 51s, because you're going to have a Greninja on this list. Greninja is a character that does not have a lot of success pretty much in any region. I've seen Japan Greninjas doing fairly well, but in America and Mexico, you're not really seeing a ton of results. Now, granted, there are a couple really good Greninja players that just don't go too much, but overall, the character doesn't have a ton of success. Where you look at Europe, you have a handful of Greninja players actually doing fairly well, and you're also going to have the honorable mention of Big Chungus, who's going to be one of the few Steves on this list. Europe is a place that doesn't have a ton of Steve players. Now, that is going to be changing because there are a couple people that are starting to pick him up. I think most notably, Crep Soleil has switched from Wario to Steve, and if we see him later on in the ranking, we'll definitely talk about that then. But it's just interesting how you have more Greninjas in Europe and less Steves. I know that's a place that some people would definitely want to go to because of that. Editing proof block here. After recording this entire video, I just realized that I was calling Dose to Secure boss battle this entire video. Now, why was I doing this? I don't know. If I had to guess, it's probably because I'm stupid, but there's a lot of different reasons that it could be. Just know when you're watching this video, whenever I say boss battle, I'm not actually talking about boss battle. I'm talking about this event right here, Dose to Secure. That is my bad. Please enjoy the video. Starting off with the 50 to 41 area, and I want to mention some players together. It's going to be Youssef, Addy, and Robin GG, and the reason I want to talk about them together is they have not been to a single B tier or higher event. All of their events are going to be coming from C tier and D tier placements, and I think these are the type of players that could potentially shake up the European meta, especially Robin. I mean, getting 3 wins on Tarek is insanely impressive, as well as playing Peach, which is a very good character right now in the meta. I think Peach as well versus Swords, and Swords are always going to be prominent, but Europe is a fairly set region. Glutey's always going to top 8. Bloom is pretty much always going to top 8, except for like that one tournament. Lugi's always going to be there. Quick is always going to be in there now. Siski's always going to be in there. There's a lot of set stones in Europe when you're thinking about top 8s at their bigger events, but players like Robin GG, players like Addy, players like Youssef, these are players that could mix up and shake up the European meta and actually get some newer faces into the top 8, so I'm very excited to see how they're going to do. Deox as well, Byleth, the character that's results have definitely dropped off a lot this year because obviously Leo is not going to be using them anymore. Deox, though, he's actually been doing fairly well. He doesn't perform super hard at King of Fields. 33rd is still fairly respectable, though. Does it 17th at Glory is really nice. He's going to have a couple decent C tiers and D tiers as well. That win list is looking especially good with the Homika and the Leon wins. Those are players that are going to be ranked fairly high up there, so you got to be feeling good about that. Lancelot, this is a player that hasn't really traveled this season, but we have seen him travel internationally. He's done fairly well. Also one of the few players that actually still have success with Chrom. Now, Roy's still going to come in there, but hey, I love to see people repping Chrom because that character gets no reps anymore for good reason, because he does suck. Next up, you're going to have Pew. I really love that combination of Min Min. Just kind of any character. Pew obviously used to be known for that Nest, but he's made more of a switch to Min Min recently. And again, I really like that choice. Min Min just as a secondary co-main, however you want to play her, is really strong. I've seen it from Proto Bonham most notably. I know I bring it up every single time you have a Min Min secondary, but he really did make the blueprint for that. And it's a blueprint that is very, very successful. You have Vidad as well. Rob players have been doing incredible this year. Most notably, you have Zombo winning his first major. And unfortunately for Vidad, he hasn't really had too many opportunities to prove himself at the major, but his biggest event of Glory 3, he ends up getting 9th place there, so that's a really impressive placement. I hope to see more of him at that major / regional level. You're going to have Ogi as well, who's definitely the best Falcon player within Europe. Now, best Falcon player definitely goes to Japan now, which is pretty weird because I feel like it was always between NA and Europe for the first half of the game, for the first, like, majority of the game, and now it's all of a sudden these Japanese Falcon players have come out of the woodworks and are absolutely farming, but Ogi still does hold that title of best European Falcon with some really nice wins. Eco, 2 wins on Nero Special, and Tarek. That Tarek win is massive for me, especially because I have a lot of faith in Tarek. You Spectral as well, speaking of the Devil, who's had some really nice placements. 13th at Glory 3. You also have a 33rd at King of Fields, which for the biggest event isn't the end of the world. Some nice wins as well. Eco, Modzai, Nader, you, Archsniff, and Ryukai. Speaking of Spectre, you're going to have him at 42. Samus is a character that has been doing incredible as of late, and I feel like that's just going to continue to happen for the rest of the game because Samus is very, very good. Got some nice wins on here, like Art Sniff, Eco, Modzai, Nader Yu, and Ryukai. And then finally, you're going to have Neroz. Now, consistency is key with Neroz. He's got 17th here, 17th here, 17th, 9th, 13th. Just really nice results all around. hasn't gotten into those top 8s yet, and I feel like the second that he does that, he is going to have a big mental barrier broken as a player. He just hasn't been able to do it lately, and I think Pikachu is a character that once you start snowballing, you start snowballing super hard. When you're playing Pikachu not super well, not at 100%, it doesn't look very good. When you're playing Pikachu at your best, full confidence, that character is an absolute menace. So I hope to see that from Neros. Hopefully he can go on a run. Onto the 40 to 31 area, starting off with Super Striker, another player that hasn't been to any of these big European events. I'm telling you, there's a lot of hidden bosses in Europe that can definitely shake things up, and Super Striker is going to play Sonic. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to beat Gluttony, but the only time, actually not the only time now, but the first time that Gluttony ever lost a major in Europe to a non-invader was to a Sonic player. He often loses Sonics. It's a very tough matchup. I'm not saying that Gluttony is 100% going to lose to Super Striker the next time they play. I'm just saying he's a really talented player. That's someone that you got to look out for as well. Jaka as well. I would say the best Isabelle in the world right now. And it's crazy that you're able to get any results with Isabelle. This character is not very good, but Jaka is still doing incredibly well in Europe. I really want to see more of him at the major level because I feel like he's definitely a player that can pull off some crazy upsets. You have Streaks as well. Yet another player. Hasn't really been to the top level too much. Only really at Invasion where he was able to get a really nice 5th place there. So the one time he was able to prove himself, he did exceptionally. Another Fox player as well. Fox is a character that is obviously going to have that main beacon rep of light, but there's a lot of very good Fox players that are starting to make waves, like Streaks, like Kananabe, like Passerima, who's kind of always been around. But Fox is a character I think is doing pretty well right now in the meta. You have Naskino as well, who has top 37 with Zelda. Like, that is crazy. 13th at King of Fields as well. 9th place at Boss Battle. What an absolutely incredible season. Wins on Leon, Mezcal, Pew. Like, this is just unreal. In fact, with Zelda, I can't believe it. So he's had a pretty good season overall. Curry Governor as well. Look how many characters this guy is playing at the top level. Also in 9th place at Glory and Invasion with wins on Chag, which is really nice to get an Invader win. Luigi, which is one of the best wins you can have. Maze Bean, Pelly, and Trip. I mean, Curry Governor, he doesn't have a ton of results, but from all the big events he's gone to, got 9th at both, so he's still doing pretty well. But his win list, I mean, it is incredible. I think if we can see him going to the major level more, he's going to get a lot more of those good placements, maybe even a top 8 soon. Next up is going to be Art Sniff, and as I said earlier on in the video, you don't have a ton of super notable Steves in Europe. Well, this is definitely one of them. He's got some pretty good placements. Most notably, it's this 5th place at Shonen War, and the win list is really impressive for me as well. That's the main thing that I'm looking at. He's got wins on Rotshore, he's got wins on Raflo, Nader U, Modzai, Krebs LA. He's got a bunch of good wins, and he has more events under his belt than most people in this PR that we've already covered, but still, it's not a ton. Only 5 events total, one of them being at the major level, and the 25th at King of Fields is also a pretty nice placement, so Art Sniff definitely someone to look out for. Azrael as well, using that combination of Sephiroth and Cloud. He's just a Final Fantasy fan, what can I say? Really nice performance here with his 17th at King of Fields, but that's going to be the only major event where he went to, but to be fair, he did fairly well at it. Wins on Jaka, Longo, Muck, Raflo, and 2 on Skipper, which is always nice. Cloud and Sephiroth are characters that we see a lot at the top level, but it's not because there's a ton of them, it's because there's like 1 or 2 reps who are having a lot of success. You have Ken and Tweak, you have just Spargo right now for Cloud, though I think that will probably change because there's a couple good Clouds in Japan. You have Enhanced PV, who's a player that I definitely think could be on the come up and make some of those runs, as well as Azrael. If he continues doing as well as he has been doing in Europe this season and continues to improve, I mean, that's going to be another notable Cloud rep right there. And our final player in the 31 area is going to be Eco, and again, bunch of characters at the top level. This 9th at King of Fields is insanely impressive, and the rest of his results are pretty good as well. The worst one being a 25th at Shonen War, which isn't really the end of the world. Wins on Azrael, like we just talked about. Chag, M4E, speaking of Sephiroth at the top level, we'll get to him later. Modzai, 2 of them, and Trim. Eco, I've been really impressed by his season. Anyone who can play a bunch of characters at the top level, though, I'm automatically impressed by, so maybe the bar's low. Onto the 30 to 21 area, starting off with Nitox, who I would say is the best Lucas in the world right now. You don't have a ton of Lucas players really competing at the top level, to be fair, but a 17th at King of Fields is really impressive, as well as 13th at Shonen War and Invasion. He's incredibly consistent with Lucas, which I feel like is a character that literally the problem is consistency, because you have a bunch of super hard tech that's really difficult to pull off. Some matchups you are getting absolutely blown out of the water, but despite that, Nitox, he's still able to average out his runs to some pretty good placements all around, so gotta be feeling really nice about that. Owl BBS as well. Now, he has switched from the full banjo, which I gotta say, it breaks my heart, but as a player and someone that I want to succeed, thank God, because that character is so hard. He's added the Sephiroth and the Sora to line up, 2 amazing characters, especially that Sora, and another player hasn't been to any major events, but he has wins on Bloom, Jezzo, Lugi, Mazebeans, Pelly. This is an unreal wins list. You have to be on the lookout for this guy. I feel like a lot of the time he was kind of underrated because he was stuck on that banjo, but now that he's stopped limiting himself and he's playing real characters, I think he's going to become a serious threat in Europe. I mean, more than he already is. Then you're going to have Ramses, who is the best Shulk in Europe right now. Now, Shulk's a character that hasn't been doing super well. Just kind of throughout Ultimate history, they haven't been doing super well despite being regarded super highly. Ramses is someone that when I'm talking about Shulk, this is what's making me a believer in the character. Now, I don't have a lot of faith in Shulk anymore, but if I were to, it would be because of some of these runs that players like Ramses are able to pull off. 5th place at Boss Battles, wins on Andres FN, Azrael, Mr. R, Skipper, and Space. He really is a super talented player, one of the best Shulks out there right now, so hopefully he's able to take this character to the theory top level that they should be at, because Shulk, in theory, is getting really good results, but in practice, not really. But to be fair, Ramses has only been to one major event, or regional event, and he did top 8 it, so definitely a player you got to look out for. And I believe our only invader on this list is actually going to be Chag, so shouts to him for attending European events enough. He's got 17th place at King of Fields and Glory 3 and a 5th place at Slyland. Now, the 17th places, for most players on the list, I'd be complimenting for them because those are really good placements. For Chag, though, I think it's an okay place for him. I hold him to an incredibly high standard because I know what this guy can do. He's unreal. I mean, he has 0 unranked losses, which is a very important thing to have when you are on a ranking list. So he's clearly still a good player. He's still getting good results. I mean, 5th at Slime, the 17th again. They're not bad. I just hold him to a very, very high standard because I've seen some of the stuff he can do, and my lord, it is very scary. Wins on Flow, Ogi, Orion, Neroz, and Nighthawk. I think if Chad continues to compete in Europe a lot, then he's definitely going to go up on this list. Next up, you're going to have Entei with that DLC Pack 2 roster. Steve, Min Min, and Aegis, another one of the Steve players that has definitely been stepping up this year. A really impressive win list as well, which is my main priority. 3 wins on Longo, win on Makuro, Tarek, Trim, and Quick. That Quick win is especially good. Entei's a player that I feel like has really stepped up this year, and if we continue seeing him perform like this, I think he could be one of Europe's top threats. And I mean, when you have a character lineup like that, you can definitely go places. You're not limited by your character at all there. Next up, you're going to have Trim, who's most notably known for that Mega Man, but he does have that Joker secondary. Now, his best performance is definitely going to come at Slyland, where he ends up getting 7th there. A couple inconsistencies with his 49th at Shonen War. 33rd at King of Fields honestly isn't too bad. 17th at Icarus is pretty good. 13th at Glory is pretty good. The win list is fairly nice as well. I think Trim is a very talented player. I always have high hopes of Mega Man players, though, because I need them to bring this character back. And honestly, if you're looking for top Mega Man gameplay, Trim is like one of the players to go through. Definitely the best in Europe. Definitely still like a top 3 Mega Man in the world. He is absolutely incredible with this character. Really excited to continue watching him going into the future half of this year. Next up, you're going to have Longo. Again, another Rob player having success. Rob players having success isn't too uncommon, but Longo is really, really good. He's got wins on Addy, Deox, Homicall, Leon, and Ogi. Again, not a ton of performances at the top of a nice 17th at King of Fields and a 13th at Icarus, so he doesn't have any super bad placements, doing fairly well at the C tiers and D tiers as well. I mean, I feel like 2023 is kind of the year of the Rob. Maybe not. Maybe it's just Zombo winning a major has kind of misconstrued that, but I think Rob players doing extremely well right now, and Longo is one of the reasons for that. Then you're going to have Mazebeans, yet another Steve player. As I said, before like 2023, there was like maybe 1 or 2 Steves at the top of in Europe. They're starting to slowly filter into the meta like they have in Japan as well. I'll talk about that in a different video. But Mazebeans, he's been around since the start. He's been one of their best Steves, if not their best Steve. I'd say their best Steve for a very long time. Got wins on Longo, Lugi, big win to have this season, Modzai, Pelly, 2 of them, and Trim. He's also got a 9th place at Invasion and a 13th place at Icarus. So overall, Mazebeans, really talented player. As I said, kind of the first Steve player in Europe to start really making waves, and there's a couple people that are slowly starting to catch up to him. At number 22, we're going to have Pelly, who I feel like really needs no introduction, and the only reason he's this low is because he's been fairly inactive this season, at least at the major level / the regional level. At the C tiers and D tiers, though, he has been doing well, and look at this win list. 2 wins on Bloom, win on Curry Governor, Mazebeans, 3 wins on Owl BBS, and a win on Streaks. I mean, Pelly is such an impressive player. He's the first European player to ever beat Glutony to win a super major or a major, which is pretty insane. And if he was more active this season, I imagine that he'd be higher. Also, take a little peek, that secondary brawler, that is something that a lot of people are going to start incorporating into their game plan. Pelly maybe a little bit ahead of some people. And our final person for the 21 and above area is going to be Mr. R, Another player who I think will be a little bit higher next season. He didn't perform super well at the out-of-region events that he went to this season, but in the in-region events, he actually did very well. He doesn't have a ton of them, unfortunately, which is why he is so low, but he's got a 4th at Glory 3 and a 7th place at Boss Battle with wins on Flo, Jaka, Embori, Naskino, and Orion. I think we all know Mr. R is one of the front runners of Europe right now. He's a really talented player, and even towards the end of the season, he definitely started to pick up his placements when he is out of region as well. So I feel like when he comes back to Europe, he's going to be a lot stronger because he's had a chance to practice against people in Japan, against people in Mexico, people in Canada. He's had so much opportunity to get way better at this game. Mr. R is a player that has always been extremely talented, but hasn't been allowed to travel just because of visa issues. So I think he's going to take all that information that he learned and kind of farm Europe for a little bit. And to kick off the top 20, our first player is going to be Mukuro. And the fact that you're top 20 in Europe with Bowser in the year 2023, when Game & Watch players and Aegis players are rampant, is incredible to me. I mean, Mukuro is also extremely talented. He's got a 5th place at Icarus, being his only really big event attended, but the C tier and the D tier events, as you can see, he's absolutely farming them. 3rd, 1st. He's just been doing extremely well. He's such a talented player. Wins on Entei, Flo, Raflo, Tarek, and Quick. I always blush when I see Bowser players doing well at the top level, and there's not a ton of them, but when you have players like Mukuro, it does give me faith in that character. We're not even going to talk about the secondary Sephiroth because I just want to push that Bowser propaganda. Now, next up, we have a player that, despite being at the top level in Europe for so long now, I always butcher his name. So you're going to have to be patient with me. I think it's Rarchor, but that feels wrong. So please let me know if I'm right. Let me know if I'm wrong. I just want to pronounce his name right because this guy keeps popping up in the top 8s of these events, in the top 13s. He's been looking so good. He's also using a combination of Greninja and Sora, which is a very weird combination, as well as a very uncommon combination. I feel like he's the only player in the world to actually play these two characters, much less either of those characters, and his placements are just incredible. Super consistent. 9th at Shonen War, 9th at Boss Battle, 4th at Slyland is going to be that peak, as well as a 17th at King of Fields. He has been looking incredible all year, and I only think that's going to improve. If I had to predict like 5 players to get into the top 10 for the second half of 2023 in Europe, he would definitely be on that list. Really nice win list as well. Andres FN, Leon, Mezcal, 2 wins on Orion, and a Raflo win. So keep up the good work. I love the character combination of Greninja and Sora because they're characters that we don't see a lot at the top level, but they have a ton of potential, especially Sora. Now you're going to have Crepsolite. And the reason that I didn't say earlier on when we were talking about Maze Beans that he's not the best Steve is because I believe that Crepsolite will be the best Steve. He's just starting to transition the character off the Wario. I think he used majority Wario this season, but he's starting to play Steve because he wants to win. And hey, that's fair enough. But even without Steve, these results are really good. 17th at King of Fields, 25th Shonen War, 13th at Boss Battle, 7th at Slyland, 13th at Icarus. Whether it be with Wario or Steve, this guy is insanely talented, and he's also a very young player, so someone that is only going to improve. And I love that he started with Wario and then switched to Steve. He already got some results with Wario, so now people can't call him bad. I feel like that was his plan all along. His wins list as well, very impressive. Leon, Mezcal, Orion, Raflo, 2 of them, and Super Semi. So Crepsolite, he is another player that's going to be the future of Europe. Flo as well, one of the older guards of Europe, keeping it out with the Roy, one of the few players in 2023 to actually still get some decent results with Roy. He's a top 8 at Glory 3 and Shonen War, 9th place at both Slyland and Icarus. Unfortunately, he does underperform at King of Fields, but I've already talked about it in this video. It was a super major for Europe because all of Europe was attending, so some of Europe isn't going to make it into those higher placements. You can't feel too bad about it, but of course, is going to hurt this season. He's got wins on Leon, 2 of them, Mukuro, Orion, 3 wins on Raflo and Space. Flo has always been an amazing player in Europe, and I honestly don't think that's ever going to change. He is just incredible. At number 16, we're going to have Nader. This is a player that a lot of people are probably familiar with because of his run at Summit. And to be honest, I don't think that event showcased him super well. I think he did underperform there. He's been looking a lot better this season. Most notably, this 2nd place at Slyland, which is incredible, as well as a 9th at Icarus, 13th at Boss Battle. Then he does have a couple of not as great placements. 33rd at King of Fields, not the end of the world. 65th at Shonen War is a little bit ugly. But to be fair, he is playing Pichu. That's a character where sometimes you're going to die at 0, and sometimes they're going to die at 0. It's just what happens. So some inconsistencies are going to happen. He's got 3 wins on Flo, 4 wins on Leon. Has been farming Leon. 2 wins on Mezcal, a win on Modzite, and a win on Raflo. Nader is still incredible. One of the best Pichu players in the world now, as well as I think being the only solo main Pichu that kind of still exists at the super top level, as the only other one that I could think of, unless I'm just super blanking, would have been Neotono, but he is obviously going to be shifting more to that Diddy Kong. So Nader, he's kind of all we got left for the solo main Pichus. Hopefully he continues getting those results. Next up, we're going to have Modzite, the first player to actually get top 8 at King of Fields, as well as a 7th place at Icarus, 17th at Slyline and Glory 3, and a bit of an underperformance at Shonen War. He's got 3 wins on Leon, 2 wins on NOOOOOOW, win on Orion, Raffalo, and Super Semi. And he is using that combination of Pac-Man and Kazuya. I think it's just a really strong combination in general. I mean, hey, if it works for T, it can definitely work for you. Next up, you're going to have Super Semi at 14. This is a player that will go up. Super Semi is unreal. He is phenomenal at this game, one of the best Young League players in the world. And like a Young League player, he does really well at the regionals, 7th at Shonen War, 4th at Boss Battle, but not as well at the majors. Still at 25th, though, at King of Fields. Nothing to sneeze at. I think Super Semi is a very, very special player. He is extremely talented. I think if we see him going to more events, getting more reps under his belt, he is going to be one of the best players in Europe. I mean, he already is, but like top 5, one of the best players in Europe. Now, at the start of the video, I was talking about how Europe's meta is a little bit different from America's meta. There's some characters in there that you're going to see more often that you wouldn't really see in America, and this is the prime example. Mezcal at 13th with Ridley. That is crazy. He's also got 13th at King of Fields and Shonen War. 3rd at Boss Battle is going to be that peak performance. And a 9th at Slyline, as well as farming the C tier and D tier events. Multiple wins there. 2 wins on Leon, 4 wins on Monsai, 2 wins on Orion, and a win on Raffo and Siski. The fact that a Ridley player can be top 13 in any region is pretty crazy. The fact that he does it in all of Europe in 2023, which again should be impossible, it is unreal to me. I will tip my hat every single time I see these players attending events and getting good placements. Like, it is just unreal how the low tier heroes are still thriving in this game. It doesn't make any sense. Not a low tier hero though. We're going to have Orion, who is going to be repping that wolf, even though Europe, it's a bit of a weird region. They got the weird characters. Every region is going to have that top wolf. He's got a 33rd at King of Fields, which is a bit of an underperformance to his standard because everything else. 17th at Shonen War and Glory 3, 4th at Icarus, 5th at Slyline, winning a couple C tier and D tier events. I mean, he's also been farming them. Wins on Leon, Mezcal, 3 wins on NOOOOOOW, Rafflo with space. Orion is just incredible. Even though it isn't listed right here, he's got a nasty doc, like one of the most nasty secondary docs in the world. If you're a TO and you want to make an event, all you need to do is have Orion's doc versus Luis's doc. It would go so incredibly hard, but our final player before the top 10 is going to be Rafflo. Now, this is a player that you would typically see within the top 10, but doesn't have a ton of reps under him this season, as well as kind of switching to a new character. I think he's been going more from Paulo to Samus. He's been kind of co-mating them right now, which I think is still a very good choice. Wins on Andres FN, Flo, Leon, M4A, Monsai. 13th at King of Fields, which to his standard is technically an underperformance, but it's a really nice placement. 7th at Shonen War, 3rd at Glory 3, and a 9th at Slyline. Rafflo, I've talked about this player a lot on my channel, so I won't spend any more time, but he is one of the future players of Europe. I can guarantee you that. And we have finally reached the top 10 players for the first half of 2023 in Europe, starting off with Tarek, who also has some pretty nice results internationally, getting a 17th place at Battle of BC. So that doesn't really matter at all for this ranking, but I thought I should mention it because that is very impressive. He's also going to be the second player on this list to top 8 King of Fields, getting 7th place there. 25th at Icarus is a little bit low, and a 9th place at Shonen War. He's going to be using a combination of Greninja and Kazuya, so the rest of the world meta versus the Europe meta, and I would say that Tarek is the best Greninja in the world right now. I think he's the only Greninja player to top 8 a major this year, so big ups to him for that. That's a very impressive achievement, and he's incredible. I have a lot of faith in Tarek as a player. I think if he continues to travel, we're going to see his results continue to go up. He just seems like someone that is ready to improve, and his results are getting better. His placements are getting more consistent. I really like how he's using his combination of Greninja and Kazuya. I feel like he balances it really well, and I just have a lot of faith in him in general. Next up, you're going to have Leon at number 9, just shy of top 8 in King of Fields, but he is one of Europe's most consistent players. 9th at King of Fields, 9th at Icarus, 7th at Glory 3, 5th at Boss Battle, 3rd at Slyline. The only exception is going to be that 25th at Shonen War with a combination of Lucina and Chrom. Though it is mainly Lucina, I love that you have the Chrom in the pocket because that's a really scary pocket character because you just don't see Chrom a lot, and he's still a pretty good character, at least in the neutral. If you know how to bully him off stage, it's probably going to be an easy match, but if you struggle with that even one time, he's going to absolutely tear you apart, and Leon's Chrom is super scary. I mean, I saw what it did to Riddles. I'm sure the rest of you did as well. He's also going to have a 6-win streak on Monsai. I don't know if it's a streak, but he's got 6 wins on Monsai, which is insanely impressive. 3 wins on Mezcal, 2 wins on Orion, a win on Raffle, and a win on Siski. Leon has been one of the best players in Europe since the start, and though he did go a little bit down this season just because a lot of Europe's new talent is starting to show up, he's definitely can still hang with the new crowd. At number 8, we're going to have Andres FN. When people refer to Shoto players as FGC players or Kazuya players as FGC players, the only person that is actually deserving of the title is Andres FN because he actually plays all the FGC characters. He has a good Ken, he has a good Ryu, he has a good Kazuya, but what's been putting in the most work, at least in my opinion lately, is that Terran. I love Terran, so that means I'm very hyped on Andres FN, and it's hard not to be with some of the results he has. Got a 4th place at Shonen War and Invasion, 5th place at Glory, 9th place at Boss Battle. Again, an underperformance at King of Fields, which is unfortunate, but a lot of players are going to be sharing that, so hopefully when there is more majors in Europe and Andres FN has a chance more to prove himself, he is going to be getting some of those good results. Also did fairly well at Smash Factor when he was international. Again, it doesn't matter for this list, but I wanted to shout it out. He's got wins on Bloom. Having a Bloom win is really hard to get. Flow, 2 wins on Leon, a Nader you win, and 7 wins on Siski. Like, playing Siski 7 times in general is just a lot, but the fact that you beat him 7 times is unreal. That's a really, really nice head-to-head to have for Andres FN because Siski has been farming. And speaking of someone that's been farming, M4E. This is a player that came up seemingly out of nowhere, unless they were just like a very underground European player that I was unaware of because I'm not super studied in the European scene. But M4E is crazy. His Sephiroth is unreal. He beat Bloom twice, as well as beating Crepsale, Leon, Makuro, and Orion. Does have an underperformance at King of Fields where he ends up getting 25th, but he sent Bloom to 33rd of that tournament, so you can't feel too bad about it, as well as a 3rd place at Icarus, 5th place at Glory 3. This is a player that I will guarantee is going to be the future of Europe. I've already mentioned a couple of them on this list. I said there was 5 players I had in mind. M4E is like the #1 player. He is so insane. I guess he already is the future of Europe because he's top 10, but I think that's only going to go higher and higher. This guy is unreal. Just shy of the top 5, we're going to have Space at number 6. This is another player that's been around the Europe's top level for a very long time, though it is more with Aegis now than it is with Inkling, but the Inkling definitely still has impact, which isn't something that I can say for most players in the world because Inkling is a very uncommon character. Space is going to be one of your top throws with a much more common Aegis. Again, it's Europe, you have a common character, you have a weird character, it's just kind of how things go. He's got a 9th place at Shonen War, 7th place at Icarus, and a 5th place at King of Fields. That's the especially impressive run. He's also been farming the C tier and the D tiers. I mean, most people in this top 10, top 20 area have been, so that's why I haven't been mentioning it as much, but he's got wins on Flow, Luigi, Mazebean, Siski, and Tarek. I haven't seen Space travel, I think, ever in Smash Ultimate. I could be wrong. Definitely not within the pre-quarantine era, and I really want to see him because he's insane. That Aegis and Inkling combination is really strong because you're using Aegis for Inkling's bad matches, which are like 80 of the characters in this game, but when the Inkling comes out, it absolutely destroys people, so I need to see more Space because, hey, I'm an Inkling fan. What can I say? At number 5, we're going to have Quick. And as I was saying earlier on in the video, I think there's a lot of players that could move into the upper echelon of Europe if they just go to more events. I think this top 5 is going to be fairly set in stone, at least for a little bit. There's a couple players that I can see breaking into it, but this top 5 is looking insane. Starting off with Quick, who's been absolutely killing this season. Only has 2 major events / regional events. 5th place at Icarus, though, and a 3rd at King of Fields, which is monsters, as well as picking up a win on Karama. There wasn't many opportunities to pick up Invader wins this year, much less an Invader who's like top 20 in the world, but Quick managed to do that, as well as beating Makuro, Nader, Yu, Siski, and Trip. Quick has always been an incredibly good player, but he's been fairly inconsistent, and it seems like he's been working on some of those issues because he doesn't have any bad placements this season. I think he's going to be a really scary player going into the second half of the year. I mean, he was already scary in the first half of the year, getting top 5 in Europe, but scared to be like taking this title of best Samus in the world. Scary. That's how much faith I have in Quick, even with Yara and Siski being out there. He is just a very talented player who I'm excited to see more of. Next up, you're going to have Lugi at number 4. Talking about players I want to see more of, Lugi is on real. He kind of underperformed at Battle of BC, getting 25th at that tournament, but he lost to Spargo and Kabebe, so he didn't really underperform. 2nd at King of Fields, which is massive. A crazy lose run for this, by the way, as well as like 13th at Shonen War and a 2nd place at Invasion. 3 wins on Bloom, which is unreal. A win on Gluttony, Quick, Siski, and Space. I mean, spoilers, everyone that's in this top 5, he's got wins on. That is unreal. He's definitely the best Luigi in the world now, and that's with a lot of Luigi players still getting some very good results, but they all kind of pale in comparison to Luigi. He has been incredible. At number 3, we are going to have the best Samus in the world with like a lot of question marks behind it and a couple exclamation marks in Siski. He has been farming both nationally and internationally. I mean, he's got a 9th place at Battle of BC, 5th place at Smash Factor. His worst place at a European tournament is going to be 9th place at Icarus, and then everything else is pretty much flawless. 5th place at Invasion, 2nd place at Shonen War Boss Battle and Glory 3, and a 4th place at King of Fields. Wins on Orion, Leon, Karama. Again, when invaders come down, it's very important that you get wins on them, and Siski did. 2 wins on Gluttony and 3 wins on Andres FN. The reason that I said there's a lot of question marks behind him being the best Samus is because throughout the entirety of 2023, I would still give it to Yara. But these last 2 or 3 months, Siski has leveled up like massively. He's been incredible. Like, you heard the results that I gave. He does not have bad performances. Towards the start of the season, he was getting a little bit lower, not as great at Genesis or Collision, but he has been looking phenomenal as of late. I think he's the best Samus right now, and I think he'll probably take it back from Yara unless Yara steps up for the second half of the year, which I can also see because he's a crazy player. Maybe Quick will still. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in contention for that best Samus title, but Siski, he's looking like one of the main frontrunners right now. At number 2, we're going to have Bloom Forever. He is going to have that blemish at King of Fields with losses to Polynomius and M40, but everything else is perfect, so I'll let it slide. Second at Icarus, he wins Glory 3, Invasion, and Shonen War. 2 wins on Glutzy, a winning record on him in the season. 6 wins on Lugi, a win on Quick. 5 wins on Siski. 2 wins on Space. Bloom Forever is so good that you see it's a little random right here. It's not because he counterpicks people a lot because he's down in a match and needs a way to come back. It's because in the winner side of bracket, he just trolls. He like dittos people. He'll just go random. He doesn't really care because he knows that when he drops in the loser's side, he's probably just going to win it anyway. That is how good Bloom Forever is. His biggest flaw as a player is the fact that he doesn't try in the winner side of bracket. That is something that is very, very easy to fix. He's a player that I feel like has the potential to become the best player in the world. If he just gets more experience, if he goes to more events, if he travels more, Bloom Forever is just better than a lot of the people that he's playing against, and it's very apparent when he's playing as well. Like, he just diffs people. It's insane. Just go watch a Bloom set, and you will just be like, wow, this player is just fundamentally more solid than pretty much everyone else. 99% of Europe cannot compete with Bloom. But you'll notice I said 99 because we still got the best player in Europe to talk about. And our number 1 player in Europe is, to no one's surprise, Glutzy. He's honestly had an amazing in-region season because prior to this, he hadn't been doing super well in Europe. He struggled a lot throughout 2022, even towards the start of the season. He's getting 3rd places at Shonen War and Invasion. Now, it's crazy that those are struggle placements, but it's to his center. Remember, he's been the undisputed king of Europe for a very long time. And now, all of a sudden, this new talent is finally starting to challenge him. So when he realized that Europe stepped up, Glutzy stepped up because then he wins this event, 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 and then he wins King of Fields. It's a lot of wins if you haven't noticed. He wins the most important event of the year, at least so far in Europe, as well as getting wins on the entirety of the top 6. Bloom, Lugi, Quick, Siski, Space. This is literally the best this win list could look, and he's beaten all of Europe's top talent. Even though he doesn't have winning records on all of them necessarily, he's at least being able to take sets off them, and he's just been looking phenomenal this year. I mean, with the bike tech that he's been introducing as well, we've been seeing it do really well internationally and clearly nationally. It's also giving him a lot of great results. So even though the players in Europe are definitely getting closer to Glutzy, they're getting closer to taking that throne, he's not quite ready to give it up yet. And these results, I mean, these are kingly results. I cannot lie. And I thank you guys for watching the sport. It's been absolutely unreal. If there's a player that I feel like I didn't give enough credit or something I got wrong or something that I just completely forgot, please let me know down below. The sport has been absolutely unreal. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.